Hello, my name is Vince Larkins, President and CEO of the Fair Housing Center of the Greater Palm Beaches. The Fair Housing Center is proud to be working in partnership with the Realtors Association of the Palm Beaches to bring you a very important presentation. This presentation will give you information on your obligations and responsibilities under federal, state, and local fair housing laws. This presentation is amply titled, Fair Housing Makes Good Sense. Fair housing is not an option, it's the law. The struggle for open housing first became a national topic in 1966 when Dr. King marched through the city of Chicago demanding equal housing opportunities for all people. Following those marches, the President of the United States at that time, Lyndon Johnson, sent a fair housing bill to Congress. The Congress regularly considered the legislation, which would extend the Civil Rights Act of 1964 to include a provision prohibiting discrimination in housing. Unfortunately, it would take the assassination of Dr. King on April 4, 1968 for Congress to finally pass the Fair Housing Act, which was co-sponsored by the former Senators Ed Brooke, a Republican, and Walter Mondale, Democrat. President Johnson at the time of the signing on April 11, 1968, said he viewed the act as a fitting memorial to King's life and work. The Fair Housing Law. The first Fair Housing Law was the Civil Rights Act of 1866, passed as a result of the freeing of 4 million slaves. It protected the right to own or rent property and prohibits discrimination based on race or color. The state of Florida has a fair housing statute, which reflects the federal statute and is substantially equivalent to that federal law. Palm Beach County has a fair housing ordinance, which also substantially equivalent to federal law. But there are additional protected categories in Palm Beach County that are protections based on marital status, based on age, keeping in mind that you have to be 18 in order to sign a contract in the state of Florida, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression. The Federal Fair Housing Act of 1968 was amended in 1988. It includes the protected categories of race and color, national origin, sex, religion, disability, and familial status. What is housing discrimination? It is important to understand that housing discrimination is any difference in the treatment, the exclusion of, or failure to offer a person an equal and fair opportunity in housing choice because of his or her race, color, national origin, religion, physical or mental disability, sex, or familial status, meaning presence of children, age, marital status, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression. It includes separating or segregating of people because of their status within a protected class. Making a decision based on one's membership in a protected class is illegal under federal, state, and local fair housing laws and ordinances. What is covered? Fair housing laws cover most housing. In some circumstances, the laws exempt owner-occupied buildings with no more than 4 units, single-family housing, sold or rented without the use of a broker or advertising, and housing that is being operated by organizations and private clubs that limit their occupancy to members. What is prohibited? In the sale and rental of housing, no one may take any of the following actions based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, familial status, disability, marital status, age, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression. Refuse to rent or sell housing. Refuse to negotiate for housing. Make housing unavailable. Set different terms, conditions, or privileges. falsely deny that housing can be inspected. For profit, persuade owners to rent or sell housing, which is blockbusting, or deny anyone access to or membership in a facility or service, such as a multiple listing service related to the sale and rental of housing. Also, in mortgage lending and homeowners insurance, no one may take any of the following actions based on race, color, national origin, familial status, sex, disability, religion, marital status, age, sexual orientation, gender or expression, refuse to make a loan or provide homeowners insurance, refuse to provide information, impose different terms or conditions in a loan, such as interest rates, points, or fees, discriminate in appraising property, refuse to purchase a loan or set different terms or conditions for purchasing a loan. In addition, it is illegal for anyone to threaten, coerce, intimidate, retaliate, or interfere with anyone exercising a fair housing right or assisting others who exercise that right. Advertise or make any statement that indicates a limitation or preference based on a protected class. Familial status discrimination is one of the most profound and increasing complaint that comes to fair housing organizations. That protected category came about upon the 1988 amendment to the Fair Housing Act, which prohibits discrimination in housing. Families with children under 18 are protected. Pregnant women, persons in the process of securing legal custody of children under the age of 18. Housing opportunities for families. Unless a building or community qualifies as housing for older persons, it may not discriminate based on familial status, meaning no discrimination against families in which one or more children under the age of 18 live with a parent, a person who has legal custody of the child or children, the designee of the parent or legal custodian, with the parent's or custodian's written permission. Another area of fair housing, which is at an alarming increasing rate, is discrimination against people who are disabled. If you or someone associated with you have a disability that substantially limits one or more life activities, including to and not limited to mobility or visual impairments, chronic alcoholism, and there we're talking about people who are in recovery, mental illness, AIDS, AIDS-related complex or mental retardation, the landlord may not refuse to make reasonable accommodations in rules and policies and practices or services if necessary for the disabled person to use the housing. It is illegal to refuse to let a disabled person make reasonable modification to his or her dwelling or common use areas at his or her expense if necessary for the disabled person to use the housing. Where it is reasonable, the landlord may permit changes only if the disabled person agrees to restore the property to its original condition when the disabled person moves. But if the person who has the disability does not leave the apartment in a condition where the next person moving in cannot enjoy the unit and the full use of the unit, then they do not have to remove those items. Ask unlawful questions pertaining to one's disability if no accommodation is requested. We thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation. And we encourage you that if you want a more detailed and comprehensive training and certification, please feel free to contact us for a certification class at 561-533-8717, or you may email us at fscpalmbeach@aol.com, or visit the website at fairhousingflorida.com. Thank you.